other games other than Nintendo. There are other movies other than Disney. Granted, the world would be a lot better of a place. Games would focus on realism more only. Movies would only be realistic and animation would be on. That's the problem. I think you just want. Problem is, I think Walt impacted the ruined his cinema history as possible. That's the problem. The animation should have existed in its form. If it did exist, it should have been rated R. I don't think animation is inherently G-rated. Life isn't G-rated. My question to you: do you really want to only play Nintendo games on this? Now, granted, I'll be a little bit more merciful on Nintendo and say, on the real Luigi shit, and say, Super Smash Bros. And all those other properties, and say, once Nintendo goes kaput with Disney, they also need to buy the rights to every one of those properties up, same company, and rebrand the company. But yes, I'm not gonna have a single merciful seed on that company whatsoever. For DreamWorks, I'm gonna be super merciful and say they're never gonna be banned, no matter what. In fact, I think Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, Mullis's first movie he ever watches. That movie is a good movie. It'll teach him some very important morals. We have Puss in Boots Returns instead of Last Wish before he died. I think Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I think that's a good movie. I think Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a good movie. I'm not gonna lie. That is a genuinely good movie. You know what? Whether it be Wilfred's Next Life Self or my. If it's Wilfred's Next Life Self, or if I become Wilfred's Next Life Self too, doesn't matter if I don't and we have a different path in life. I think what needs to happen is this. Ready? Here it is. We need Wilfred Mullis to see Puss in Boots: Last Wish no matter what. In theaters. That movie, I think, should be unbannable. And if you think, oh, it's too scary, you're soft. Granted, cartoons before Walt were actually this kind of violent and this kind of scary. Walt sugar-coated animation and turned it into this. And this is why you're becoming too soft. One way or another. I end up making Astro Observatoria. A lot of Nintendo fans are going to say Astro Observatoria is a bit too dark and scary. How a Disney fan saying Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is dark and scary. You know what? That means you're soft. I'm not afraid to give it a T rating. A maturity-based rating system comes along and allows it to be more readily available to kids. That's the issue. If I'm able to make that game, I think DreamWorks showed me the way. Hey, he never would. let's just say this. We're lucky to be in this timeline. I'm named Caleb James Smith. Not have the dad Wilfred Mullis did. Had Thomas Patrick Smith as his dad. I think having that may have... Maybe. We don't know what they're gonna do. I don't think Wilfred Mullis, judging by his actions saying the N-word a lot, already said, unless if it's a clip I'm playing from a song named WAP that's explicit, I will not say it. Clip, fine. I'll probably try to censor it somehow. Me, never. I'm gonna make a rule, say, Wilfred's actions, and because I'll show you that lead me to believe Wilfred did all this. I think Wilfred Mullis is going to have to do this. The thing right. I was hoping I would have to grow out of the whole... There used to be a time when I used to love on Jump Street one year and hate Chuck E. Cheese. Chuck E. Cheese one year and hate Jump Street another. That evolved into me loving Nintendo and Sony, then loving Sony and Nintendo. 2010s, mid-2010s like Sony and Nintendo. Late, didn't really like Sony because of the 5 Pro. And the controversies that are on the other systems like the Switch. And the PS5, and then later on I did like both Sony and Nintendo. I was hoping that the Switch 2 was going to make it, so that would be a lot easier to grow out of that phase. Apparently they're giving me a reason to go not do it right now. I think because of this, I'm just gonna say that it's just gonna be a pet peeve. I don't hate Nintendo. I'm asking you to hate them, but they are just another company. We all are. There's no special seed company. Until you learn that, you'll be trapped thinking all companies are that you owe something to a company. I and Mom used to think that for Disney. We don't anymore. We were going to quit watching movies if Disney left once. Now, I would rather have my kids watch R-rated film instead of watching Disney movies. Yeah. Not Alien. Stuff like The Godfather. Stuff like Blade Runner. Matrix. Unless if it's American Psycho, which granted had to be censored to get the R rating. An explicit cut that's above NC-17 close to X. They said that's how they would rate it. It wouldn't even be given an NC-17. That's why it's unrated. Something like Matrix. Blade Runner. Like Godfather. Scarface. I'd rather have them watch that, as long as I'm with them, than watch Disney movies because they plant bad morals into their subconscious. With their new first R-rated movie, Deadpool Wolverine, they did that too. They basically lied saying we wouldn't disrespect Logan. They did it anyway. And I do like that scene, but man, you should never go around picking up a corpse of someone you cared about and using their corpse as a weapon. That would be screwed up. Same guy go for Nintendo. I think this will be their last gen. I think after that, I'm just going to be a PlayStation player. I think... I used to be an eye slave too. Until Mr. Android. I'm way better off with Android than I was at Apple. Apple is stupid. Freedoms you would have under Android. That's for sure. Jobs was a brutal man. A lot of his employees and colleagues, while people were crying, Jobs were celebrating, saying, "Celebrate good times, Hotel J Party!" Jobs is a bad guy because he abused us. He was a brutal CEO to us and even fired us just for doing something minimal. Like, what the heck was that guy? I'm about to watch that documentary and be like, And this was not a good CEO. Granted, are you ready for this? I think Elon Musk is not a good CEO. The only reason I trusted him with AMC is he'll go jailed and mogged anyways. He's not not above the law. He will be exposed one day. Don't worry. Long-term risk play, short-term loss. After all, it's a short-term loss with anything else. Fine anyways. But Disney is neither. Short-term for Bezos. Long-term movies wouldn't go into their theaters. Just saying, blank it out. I think I'm just gonna play on PlayStation. After Nintendo goes. You know what? Might be a good PC too in Valve. Think I think I mean, look. For Nintendo I had the leapfrog, right? I've always had a PlayStation. Even when I loved them, even when I hated them, even when I was slightly annoyed, even though I was like, I love you when you're mad, I love you when you're sad, I love you happy when you're mad. I'm okay with them now. And I think they're standing up for us now. Sony is standing up for us. Disney will never stand up for us. They are narcissists at that company. How Rachel Zegler and even the company employees admit they're narcissists. They have a twisted view on life and that they're putting that in their movies. The acolyte Haley Headland or Rachel Zegler with Snow White. I'm just saying, look. What happened to common decency and common sense? We used to live in a world whites and blacks were equal. We live in a world white straight male, you're racially discriminated by, enslaved, whip you, make you pay for the crimes of your ancestor. How you like that? That is not good. That is actually evil. Just saying. And you know what? We are in the 6th area. To be in 7 or 8, honestly, because 7 or 8 is better. 9, maybe. 4, 6, we were in Hitler's era with 5. 5, we were in Napoleon's era 4. 3, Charlatan. 2, Constantine. Nero 1. 6 Antichrists. Frankly, I think Disney has done wondrous works with Satan. And maybe even God in some areas if you're Gnostic. Because they are only someone who was a puller of Voldemort in a past life. Say, you don't want to go to hell. And I'm going to make them die and go to heaven. That's for their own agenda. They'll benefit them. I'm just saying. It'll make the person who was Anakin Skywalker in a past life, hell, incarnate. They're gonna enslave him when he's reincarnated, ruin it, make it so that teachers and students say, "I just spilled salt in your eyes," and it would be okay for it because they would say, "It's okay, he's a bad person." But him over. Praise, and that's Wilfred Mullis, by the way. I'm just saying, blanking out. Mullis will never have a fighting chance against Disney. 2 lifetimes from now. I might have a chance. Yeah. I partnered with Paramount because Disney made mistakes in this timeline. My game company might resemble a strategy in this time, next life, and maybe in my next. My next life, it won't resemble Disney's strategy. But no. It will resemble Fox's. Me, Sega, partnering with Paramount, was them saying, Caleb, like Wilfred Mullis, and we don't want you to be I think that if we partnered with you, Terramont, we would do a better job. You'd be like us for the next 2 lives. Your current one and this one. The life after that, you'll be like Bandai Namco company. You'll be like Paramount. Life, you'll be like Century Box. We're gonna make sure you're not like Monopoly that has proven itself toxic to you. Basically, Sega's giving me the benefit of the doubt. Like, I don't think they gave Wilfred the benefit of the doubt, though. They said, Caleb, Disney made a mistake with you. With The Last Jedi, Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. We know you'll never be able to see the Kyra films. Or, if you do, it'll be years later. Giving you something you can enjoy. It's Paramount Sega films. No, Ray movies are not good for you. And then they make 10, 11, and 12, they're gonna be even worse. So we're in a fight. Empire. Because Sega did that, we are in a position. We may not be the main characters anymore, granted. Being the main character would mean you would have to be like Disney in your next life and actually turn evil and make home Atari to be a brand that would eventually buy a franchise like Star Wars and learn that as well. Heat the cycle. You guys trying to break that cycle for us? No.
Hey, can you please put those
what Disney did was wrong this time.
Please?
And I didn't agree with it. And I don't agree with it either. Granted, I've preferred if AMC would have...
Caleb, can you put those cards up here? Please.
Up where? I preferred if AMC mooned. It's clear to me now that will never happen. I want Disney to lose the culture war. I want you to stand with me and fight against these corporate tyrants. You might be like, why would you trust? Why you may be asking if Steve Jobs was still around? And you give Steve Jobs AMC. No. He's worse than Elon in a way. Elon is setting up the conditions for the Antichrist. False prophet. He's not that. Steve is not that either. Granted, he was very brutal in his place. He was a very bad CEO. We're gonna watch. We might even do a stream and a watch party on Steve Jobs, Man in the Machine. Maybe even Photoshop our own cover. Calling it Steve Cobb's Man in the Machine. If we ever get Photoshop again. I use Photoshop. Photoshop classes in high school. Granted, I do not think he is capable of handling AMC. And I don't think Elon is either, but that's the thing. I just gave it to Elon without any way plan. Take it from him after he's jailed or mocked. It would be liquidated. Or go to someone else. Another person who would be trustworthy. Here's the problem. Ready for this? Ready? That's why I let him have it. He gets jailed or mocked. It's going to happen. Somebody else better will take a hold of it. And there will be no fight. Be screwed up. There will be no fight to prevent Disney. Prevent a monopoly on theaters. Is because they got rid of the Paramount Decree. The Paramount Decree, if we want to stop them, if we want to stop this corporate empire murdering entertainment known as Disney. next life, we don't end up playing video games or movies. We end up being only anime fans. And only barely touching a movie or video game. Or we end up playing about one. I'm predicting it's gonna be games. Because granted, they did make the back when games were good video. I used to say back when music was good. Movies are gonna be a lot like anime when we never see them. Granted, we end up failing. We are successful in making it so that not just Wilfred Mullis is both versions of him, but I lose as well, ending up having to be like Disney in my next life. And my soul company would own me. I'm not going to be making movies, and I will not. I managed to find a way to remember. I have a way. You can imagine in your head. Both taught it. I think it was taught on YouTube. It's a certain shape you need to do. It's in Harry Potter. I can tell you what shape it is, though. I will ensure I will not be making movies as well as Next Life Self if that happens. I will not be the leader of Atari. I will make my own company if that comes down to it. If that happens, Multiverse Universe will happen. It'll be a gaming original universe. One version will be cancelled. Okay? Be cancelled. And if that happens, we are gonna have to. But that's the thing, right? Apparently, people are thinking Disney is the most. There are still people out there. Disney is wonderful, amazing, right? Beautiful. Those are anyone below Gen Z, and anyone who Gen Z is the first generation to wake up, realize Disney isn't all magic pixie dust. Actually, it's something sinister is behind it. Sinister force not to be trifled. That should be not even. If I have to stop, come Wilfred's Next Life Self, I'm not gonna be the king of Atari in that life. It means I'll reject the Sword Quest sword if that's the case. It means making sure Atari doesn't evolve into that company. Would end up buying a franchise like Star Wars in the far future. Seventh whatever. Christ now, not Antichrist. The 601s are the Antichrists. End up just repeating the cycle. That's part of my plan. I would end up making my own company, favorite scenario still. I'd still make it a gaming empire. But unfortunately, the film version would be canceled then because we can't be like Disney, can we? I'm going to be like Tolkien and say, my soul can be done by anyone except Disney now. Tolkien was right. Tolkien was very right in this timeline. He knows that. Wilfred Mullis' soul, the merge doesn't happen. Mullis' soul is exactly. I think Disney can do him because of his actions. He deserves it if he the N-word and that's a good enough punishment. I knew, especially since Disney didn't really do a bad job of the Star Wars. They did a decent job, and the one that's going to reincarnate won't. He did an incredible job. Me? Merge those two words. Me? My house? I think Disney cannot have me. Sega made no mistake. Paramount. Because Disney mucked up with Star Wars. And they knew it'd be exactly that with Caleb. Be exactly like that with Sonic movies. They wouldn't even be able to see them. Be exactly like that and have them empty. Knew that. That's why Sega's partnered with Paramount. Personally, I think we have a chance to rebel against this corporate empire. My friends. And we will fight this fight until the very bitter end. make sure to stay safe if you can.